Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Byron Scott.
And I'm Danielle Irby. Thanks for joining us. Thousands of local union jobs could be jeopardized by a decision to sell several Shoppers food stores. United Natural Foods announced this morning that it's selling 13 stores, including 4 in Prince George's County. The Shoppers are being sold to 3 separate grocery chains, including Compare Foods and Lidl. Some of the stores are located in Capitol Heights, Colmar Manor, and Landover, and they're expected to close between mid-December and early January. Mark Federici of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union says the decision is shocking.
We're going to do everything we can do to make sure that the people we represent land on their feet, and that their contract and the things that they've earned through the years is afforded them. But we're going to do everything we do to make sure people land on their feet. This is really, really hard for all of us.
United Natural Foods is also expected to close 4 Shoppers stores. In national news, a fatal shooting at a naval air base in Florida. Authorities say an aviation student from Saudi Arabia opened fire at a Pensacola base this morning, leaving 3 people dead and several others wounded. 2 Escambia County Sheriff's deputies were wounded in an exchange of gunfire with the gunman who died on the scene.
I could not be prouder of the men and women of the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. They ran to the fight, not from the fight. And even though they knew there was an active shooter, and again, the chances of putting your life in danger are great, guess where they went? They went inside.
It's a dark day for a very great place. I think it not only strikes at the heart of the community here in Northwest Florida, but throughout the Navy, nationwide, and really around the world.
The days ahead are going to be difficult when it finally sinks in what has happened here. The most important thing going forward for us is to support the families. They are family, they're our family. We're a family here in the Department of the Navy.
This shooting comes just 2 days after a U.S. sailor opened fire at Joint Base Pearl Harbor near Honolulu, killing 2 and injuring a 3rd before shooting and killing himself.
A national nonprofit agency and Lowe's home improvement stores are teaming up to help out a local veteran. This is 94-year-old World War II vet William Harrison of Crownsville. The volunteer work is in honor of National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day tomorrow. Rebuilding Together Anne Arundel and Lowe's have already fixed the roof that will return tomorrow to make repairs to a door and electrical fixtures. The Purple Heart recipient was a paratrooper and has lived in the home for 50 years. He spoke to us about one encounter over Germany.
I landed in a foxhole with the Germans. You did? Not knowing that they were in there, 2 of us, but we dived in the foxhole, here's 2 Germans in the foxhole. Now, one of us got to go. But what happened was, thank God, they didn't want to kill us and we didn't want to kill them. And we stood there. And finally, I couldn't speak German, and neither could the other boy, and they couldn't speak English, but we started pointing, you understand what I'm saying? And they finally crawled out of the foxhole. They went one way, and we went the other.
Well, in addition to his military service, Harrison used to shoot billiards competitively. He's also a member of the American Kennel Club. Well, tomorrow, a big day for Colonel Charles McGee of Bethesda, the World War II veteran who also served during the Korean and Vietnam Wars, is a Tuskegee Airman, and he turns 100 years old. To celebrate the occasion, McGee is flying as honorary co-pilot in 2 state-of-the-art business jets at Frederick Airport today and tomorrow. Tomorrow is also the 78th anniversary of Pearl Harbor.
It's a memorable day, and I can remember at that time, although I was in school, my dad was in Gary, Indiana. I was home for a bit and was with the Glee Club going to a program in South Chicago when it came over the radio with the president announcing the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Now, McGee flew 409 fighter combat missions, more than any other U.S. serviceman.
A church in Camp Springs is inviting everyone who needs health care free of charge to come out today through Saturday. For the first time in its more than 30-year history, RAM, which stands for the Remote Area Medical Volunteer Corps, has come to Prince George's County. The nonprofit mobile pop-up clinic based in Tennessee travels across the nation, delivering free quality dental, vision, and medical care to the uninsured with the help of area doctors, dentists, and other medical professionals who volunteer their services.
Today we've been welcoming in patients starting at 6 a.m. In order to receive care tomorrow, starting at midnight, we'll begin distributing tickets. So at midnight we begin distributing tickets, and then at 6 a.m. the clinic doors open. We do ask that they choose what service they want to see first, so we are offering dental, medical, and vision. On the vision side, we're making new glasses. On the dental side, we're offering cleanings, fillings, and extractions here this weekend.
Usually when I've been with RAM, every chair is filled. We are waiting 10 deep outside to do this. We're dealing with a lot of rotted teeth that are broken down in the mouth, and they've been there for 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
And people just don't have that $300 or $70 sometimes to get a root out.
RAM says anyone in need of free dental, medical, or vision care should come to the parking lot of the Beltway Church of Christ Women's Ministry. Get a ticket, and that number will hold your appointment to be seen for one of the services. And they will stay open until the last patient is seen tonight and open again Saturday at 6 a.m. And that address is 6000 David Boulevard in Camp Springs. Montgomery County lawmakers are pushing for a new method to stop texting and driving, but at what cost? Details on that and more ahead.
Texting while driving is against the law in Maryland, and now a local lawmaker wants to use video cameras to catch violators in the act. Montgomery County Council member Tom Hucker is asking state lawmakers to consider a bill that will use cameras to cite drivers for illegally using their phones. He says the video system will be similar to red light and speeding cameras, but it would record what motorists are doing inside their cars. AAA Mid-Atlantic calls the system invasive.
In this instance, you can peer right through the windshield. And no matter what a person is doing, you're not only photographing the driver, who allegedly could be texting while driving, which is against the law, but you're also photographing what the passenger is doing. So in a lot of ways, it's too invasive and invades privacy.
The system would only be in Montgomery County. If approved, it would be the first in the country. And a settlement is reached in an electrocution of a young girl at MGM National Harbor last year. 8-year-old Zanae Green suffered a massive brain injury after she grasped an electrified handrail at the resort last June. According to the Washington Post, court filings submitted in November in Prince George's Circuit Court show all parties agreed to dismiss the case. The filings don't detail the settlement terms of what, if any, monetary damages the family would get. An independent investigator found the electrocution was the result of improper installation and faulty wiring.
A former casino dealer is sentenced to federal prison for participating in a cheating scheme. 32-year-old Ming John of Alexandria was sentenced to 18 months in prison, 18 months that is for conspiracy to transport stolen funds. It was part of a scheme to defraud Maryland casinos by cheating at the game of Baccarat. Zhang also has been ordered to pay more than $1 million in restitution.
And after 4 decades of serving Prince George's, a longtime official is saying goodbye. Mark Brady, the spokesperson for the Prince George's Fire Department, is retiring. Today, he attended his last command staff meeting at fire headquarters in Largo. He began his career as a 911 operator here in the county. He also worked at communications for police and the fire department. The last 27 years he's been with the department spokesperson. His last day will be on December 31st. Well, still to come, county teens got a crash course in personal care this morning. That plus sports in just a bit.
A Capitol Heights man receives 5 consecutive life sentences, plus another 115 years in a quadruple murder case. 28-year-old Lawrence Rogers Jr. has no possibility of parole for the June 2016 murders of Carlina Gray, Jan Parks, Alan Rowlett, and Harold Williams, as well as the attempted murder of a fifth person in Forestville. Rogers also received 100 years for 5 counts of using a handgun in a crime of violence and 15 years for illegal firearm possession. Rogers was convicted of 17 charges in total this past September.
Job seekers, businesses, and community members gather for the first resource fair by the Governor's Commission on African Affairs. About 20 organizations attended this afternoon's event at Bowie State University. Resources and services offered include resume writing, apprenticeships, financial literacy, and more.
Jobs. They need to know what jobs are out there. They need to know what resources are out there. How can I work on my resume? How can I get my foreign degree accepted into the United States? So we brought in those partner organizations that are actually providing those services, and they provide them from local, state, county partners out here.
For more information, log on to goci.maryland.gov.
Well, a popular comedian known for his hilarious prank phone calls on the radio was in Largo this afternoon. That's right, Thomas Miles, aka Nephew Tommy, spoke at the Prince George's Community College today. The actor and comedian talked about how he got started in the business. His career offered him many opportunities, like telling jokes for troops overseas and even touring with the late singer Luther Vandross. Currently, Nephew Tommy is the host of Ready to Love, a matchmaking show, and is also a host in the Steve Harvey Morning Show. During the Q&A session, he discussed the challenges that many comedians face today.
I think it's very difficult for up-and-coming comedians, even some of those that are seasoned, have been here a while. I think there's probably three or four that probably can say whatever they want to say and get away with it. I think we all probably saw David Chappelle, who I thought was amazing. Was able to say some things that a lot of people have thought about, but just never said it, you know, and he's one of those that can do that. I think D.L. Hughley, he's one of those that can do that.
The event was presented by Prince George's Community College's Humanities Department.
And Prince George's County is spreading some holiday cheer through the 12 Days of Giving initiative. The Office of Community Relations hosting a breakfast for teenage boys. The teens are part of the Royalty Institute of Leadership and Innovation program, which gives specialized education to disadvantaged youth. Today's event also included health, wellness, and grooming workshops.
We have a group of young men who persevered through a lot of adversity. Teen fathers, we have young men who come from poverty, we have young men who struggled academically, socially, and right now we have a school of young men who are all excelling and on the track to being college football players, to being scholars, to being entrepreneurs.
As a young teenager, I did a mistake, and then now as an older teenager in high school, I would never do that mistake again. And Coach Wade, he got me through that mistake, and Jacob's Ladder Youth Foundation got me through that mistake too.
And each of the teens walked away with a gift which included grooming tools, a shirt, and of course the all-important tie. Well, now moving on to sports.
And our